Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, before we get to the meat of the matter, to address a lot of people who've been asking about Wednesday the cat, our new family member. She went in for an operation on Wednesday, her namesake, just to get her spayed. She's a young female cat, and of course, if you don't get them spayed, you let them out, you've got lots of little cats running around the place. And we can all do without that, can't we? But she was good as gold, brilliant operation, big success, but now she has to walk around for 2 weeks with the cone of shame upon her head. Oh. It's depressing the hell out of her, but it's depressing the hell out of me as well, because I empathise with her about the ridiculousness of it all, but I understand why. Got a little wound there, and cats like to probe and play about, and oh, what's that? Oh, it opens, oh, intestines come out. That's the worst case scenario, of course. Or they start licking it and get an infection, that sort of thing. But the wound is healing up very nicely. And between you and me, don't tell the vet, there's no way on earth of keeping that fucking cone on for another 2 weeks. No fucking chance. I mean, to be honest, this is day 4 now, so we've got along through a lot of it already, but no way. Kilt-Man will assess the damage. I know you'd all go, no, the vets know best. Well, yeah, maybe. But I know my cat, and my cat wants out of it. Now, I get it, because they leap around like a gazelle. They can leap 15 feet in the air. They're leaping around stuff all the time. Climbing this, running over that, rolling about. So just that simple exertion like that could open up the stitching and cause lots of damage. So I get it, but I also can hate it as well, because she's not the same. And with the weight of it around her head, she's like that. She lumbers around like that, with the head like that, and she can't obviously preen herself. So we're trying to brush her and make sure she's still looking her best. How can you look your best with a lampshade around your head? It's just ridiculous. And for the size of it, it's huge. Anyway, folks, we have an unboxing, or rather an unpacking to do. It's only small, just one thing from Astradyne, your friend and mine. Astradyne, a traveller in time. And he sent another t-shirt. It's down there. Now, that arrived yesterday, but there's also something else coming today, which is an album, vinyl. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that is, but I know they're not connected. How do I know that though? Well, I asked him. So is the t-shirt and the album, are they somehow connected in theme or movie, TV show, whatever? And he went, no. So no connection whatsoever. So we're going to open this, and then we'll open the album later on when it hasn't arrived yet. So this, no clues. Astradyne doesn't necessarily give clues, unlike Steve 007 Smith, the benefactor of all of these fantastic canvases you see around the mansion. So yeah, we don't get no clues with this. So I'm just going to open it. I'm playing Star Trek from the original, the OG, the soundtrack to the TV show, because we're both fans of Star Trek. So and he has sent Star Trek t-shirts before. He sent a lot of t-shirts lately, and I'm loving it. And he seems to have found someone or a supplier now that does them in olive drab, the green, army, military green, and I love that shade of green. And they've been great, right across the wazoo and back. Tons of Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, A Bridge Too Far. Yeah, right, no rhyme or reason. So there could be anything in here. So we're playing Star Trek, and we'll see what happens. Whoa! Here we go. Now, if you remember last time, there was a big crate full of lots of things, but a lot of t-shirts, and I opened up everything, or so I thought. But what I didn't realise, it was all bubble wrap and packaging. I was throwing bubble wrap and packaging back into the main. There was a box within a box, but I was throwing it all back into the bigger box, not realising I'd buried a lot of unopened t-shirts. So I did an extra video. There was another 5 t-shirts turned up. I think a couple of vests as well. And then even I did that video, I had to chuck the whole box out. Hang on, what's that? There was another one. There was another t-shirt in there. Oh God, it's like they cloned themselves. Don't feed the t-shirt after midnight. Anyway, so shouldn't take much to get into this. No idea what it is. It was delivered by someone called, oh no, it doesn't say. It doesn't say who delivered it. You get packaging labels now, like your package is delivered by so and so. You know, Paul delivered your package today. So, green, olive, oh, something crinkling and, what's this? I'm trying not to look at it. I've seen something, I think I know roughly what, but I don't know why he sent it. Oh, packaging note, yeah, shipping note. I'll let you guys see it first. I've seen part of the image. Olive drab, what the hell? That's reversed to me, but I can tell what it is. What the fuck is that? Well, that is a tank. That's a tank, isn't it? That's a First World War tank. Oh! German Army. September 15th, 1916. Well, that's not a German Army tank. They didn't use it until way after then. September 15th, 1916. It was during the Battle of the Somme. It was the first time tanks were introduced. That presumably being one of them, and that being the reaction. If you ever got the old action and warlord comics and Commando picture library, you know, all the World War II comic books, every German would always go, "Gott in Himmel, what is das?" But they've just gone for broke there. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that, Fritz? Because that would be quite a horrific sight coming over the trenches, wouldn't it? They were introduced in Flers-Courcelette, part of the Battle of the Somme, and initial British models were called, get on this, Little Willie. Hardly intimidating to the enemy, that is it. You're thundering into no man's land with, "I am Little Willie." Even the crowds would get a sense of humour out of that one, wouldn't they? So well, let's look at that date again. September 15th, 1916. That's the first time that they were brought in. I'm sure it was. So that'd be the Mark 1, tank. They weren't very effective, to be honest with you. Tank music. I've got tank music. Bridge Too Far, of course. What have we got? What else have we got? Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Where's my father? He's in Indy. He's in the belly of that beast. Because they've got a cranky First World War tank in the desert, haven't they? But hang on. I think I know what to go for. And I've reviewed this movie and this music a lot. Lalo Schifrin, Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, Donald Sutherland, Kelly's Heroes, tanks, you know. A Sherman tank can give you quite an edge. So yeah, the Mark 1, armed with Vickers machine guns, 6-pounder guns, Hotchkiss machine guns. You know what, it travelled at something like, I've probably got this wrong, I am no tank expert at all. I've been in 2 tanks and neither of them actually moved anywhere. They didn't fire up at all. I just sat in it for a bit. Royal Marines don't have tanks. They've got lots of other vehicles. Dirt bikes, quad bikes, snow speeders, not like Star Wars snow speeders. And lots of amphibious landing craft and rigid raiders and all that. So, but no tanks, no heavy artillery like that sort of thing. No armoured divisions. But they had a crew of 8 and they travelled something like, I think it's not even 4 miles an hour. But they were great at getting over trenches and ploughing through wire mesh and barbed wire, that sort of thing, you know, and barricades. But they weren't very effective. I think on that first day, if I've got that date right, I'm assuming that must be it. That must be the first day because that's why the Germans were going, "What the fuck is that?" Because they'd never seen one before. Where was I going with that? They had a crew of 8, yeah. Maximum speed of about 4 miles an hour. But on that day, they had something like 50 50 tanks ready to go into battle, to go across no man's land and take the battle to the Germans. Don't forget, it was the British Army Expeditionary Force and the French Army. A few Canadians, well, Americans weren't there at this stage, I don't think. Or were they? No, they weren't there at this stage. And out of 50, I think only about 15 actually started moving. The rest broke down. So not a great show of force. But then again, even just one of these coming you going, hear that? You're in the trench. Rumble, 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 rumble. Is that you? What is that? You know, is that you? Carl, is that you? This fucking thing, it's getting louder. Whole ground shaking. Jesus, you know, even the rats are running away. You know, for Christ's sake, what? This thing comes over with machine guns going. Very limited field of fire, I would have thought, and really cumbersome, really unreliable. And they were pure cannon fodder, literally cannon fodder for the enemy artillery. But the effect was on the morale of the Germans, because it was a terrifying sight to be like. They sounded monstrous, they looked even more monstrous, and they were belching fire and bombs and all sorts. So, Christ, get out the way, run away, flee, run. And then you realise, oh, I can easily outwalk this thing. Even through all the mud, blood and bones, you know. But, yeah, crew of 8. You wouldn't have to get 8 people in that, wouldn't you really? But it's operating all the machine guns. There are different parts of it, aren't they? And you obviously got your driver, and you got your 6-pounder gunner. So I think, what else do I know about these things? They had, there's people out there who know this stuff. And my dad's probably gone, I've taught you all this. My dad had a great big well, I say great big, it's about that big, to be honest with you, a diorama of First World War trenches and tanks on it. You couldn't move anything, they were stuck on. He didn't do it, he didn't build it all. Someone built it for him, and they weren't Airfix kits or anything like that. They actually painstakingly made these tanks and barbed wire fences and loads of troops and bodies everywhere. And I think there was a 303 shoved into the ground with a helmet on top of it as well. Like, it was great. You know, as a kid, I'd sit and look at it, and I'd want to move things around. But my dad did catch me with some of the my own Airfix soldiers, and it was the that scale, whatever that scale is, the bigger ones, not the small ones. And I love the smaller ones, but the bigger figure, because that was the scale that was on this diorama, and I'd be moving them around, and my dad would catch me thinking I was going to break something off it, like the shrubbery or the barbed wire fence or something like that. Snap the barrel off one of these Mark 1 tanks. Yeah, Christopher, what are you doing? You know, we don't play at war, you know. And I'm like, I'm sorry, putting down my invisible gun. Yeah. No, we take war very seriously. They had, this is going to sound daft, and I could have got this wrong as well, male and female versions of the Mark 1. They're all the same size, same speed, same crew, eight man crew. But the idea was you had the 6-pounder guns on the male ones, big fat, barrels. They would be storming, well, as fast as you can storm at 3.5 miles an hour or 4 miles an hour towards the enemy lines. But of course, they'd be prone to like a massed infantry attack, and they couldn't take it all out. So you'd have female variants of the Mark 1, which I don't think had the big gun barrel, the 6-pounders, but had more machine guns and far more ammunition on board. So the males would be going forward into attack, but around them would be the females to protect from them being outflanked from infantry coming from different sides. So it's clever tactics. Of course, throughout the war, the tanks got modified even more and more. Burning bridges. You know, this is one of the great tank movies. I know you've got Battle of Bulge, and you've got Fury with Brad Pitt, and you've got, what else have you got? Patton, yeah. There'll be others. Battle of Tobruk, yeah. A lot of big tank battles took place. Not in the First World War, but certainly the Second World War, tanks were huge. The armoured divisions played a vast part in it. But this was the early days, or even the first day. Look at that coming at you. mellow out, man, you know? Lock up them negative vibes. Oh, I've just thought. Give me that back. I think it's Winston Churchill. He's having props at your ready. What's the word I'm looking for? At the ready. Oddball, tank commander. It's funny how those radio communications headgear, pilots wore them as well. Tank crews and aviators wore the same leather jackets and bomber jackets and the same headgear, the same equipment. So, and these were called, the tanks were called land ships at the time, or buses. And I think the first prototypes that they had were just like little old automobiles, but with a machine gun mount on the front of it, with spindly wheels and all that, like, and a few, bit of sheet metal bolted to it for protection. And you've got, your goggles on, and your driving cap. Oh God! Still, it showed innovation and technology. And what are wars good for? Economic build-up afterwards, new treaties, employment, and high industrialization, technological advancement. Oh, but in times of peace, no one's asked that, well, they are, they're doing things in the background, obviously, but war, massively industry increases, and suddenly all those things you never thought were possible. Yes, we've actually got like flying motorbikes now. Well, you've got drones. I was going to say you have got flying motorbikes. You have drones and all sorts of aircraft and reconnaissance, satellites, lasers. You've got everything. The Iron Dome defense systems, to intercept any missiles coming in, all that kind of stuff. But back in those days, it was a big rust bucket, which you had to get out and push. Big caterpillar tracks. I mean, that isn't unnerving enough. Just to see the way they're going around like that, you'd be like, what was it? The first day that I forget the name of the first car that was unleashed on roads, and it went about 2 or 3 miles an hour, didn't it? And it still ran over someone and killed them. People just stand there going like, "This can't be real." Ugh. Get out the way! For half an hour you're shouting, "Get out the way," and then you finally hit them. God. But if you look at photographs of the Second World War especially, there's lots of horrible, grim pictures of, I know because my dad had all these, of people who've been crushed by tanks. They've obviously been wounded and trying to crawl out the way, and the tank just gone right over them. Oh dear, just flattened, pancaked, literally. So, get out the way! There you go. And it's olive drab. Who's the company that makes these? No, it's Gildan who make a lot of t-shirts. I have many Gildan t-shirts. But what the fuck is that? And they'd probably be laughing as well. Like, if you weren't in the immediate vicinity of it coming over your trench and you were someone else, you'd be going like, Gott in Himmel, stays at that thing. Fire! Jeez, I wouldn't want to go into combat in a tank. Ooh, Jesus, no. You've got all that firepower there, but if you get entrenched, you get stuck. You're a bullet magnet, and you can't stay in there forever. When they manage to pull the crew out of tanks, when the tank gets surrounded, ooh, you're safe inside there, but oh no. It's another great tank movie, Reign of Fire. It's a better tank movie than it is a dragon movie. Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey. So much potential to it. I like the film, don't get me wrong, I like the movie, but it's all set in England, after they discovered, a bit like Quatermass in the Pit, they discovered down beneath a subway station, which they're excavating. I can't remember now, but there's a dragon down there, and of course the dragons rise up and lay waste to the world. But you've got Matthew McConaughey as this maverick tank commander with his armoured division, who happen to be in Blighty. And they work out a strategy of taking out the dragons during magic hour, you know, just before dawn, when the dragons can't quite see properly. Well, who knows? What's the last dragon you had? Could it see just before dawn? Could it? Well, yeah, exactly. But Astradyne, cheers, my friend. That is that's great. That's a great thing to wear going to the pub, because any excuse. Because there's tons of well, around here I'm surrounded by paras. Wouldn't you fucking know it? Tons of paras. There's only a couple of Marines. There's a few special forces, a few bogus ones as well. But that's this way. If I go down to Liscard and go in the Royal Oak or in the Boot, there actually is a guy. He was mechanised infantry and ground crew. He was an engineer and mechanic on tanks and armoured cars. He didn't go into battle in them, but he had to make sure they were, you know, fit to fight. And there's more special forces guys down there. There's tons of them, you know. It's great, you know, when you all get a bit of a natter going, like. But to walk in one of these, they'd be going like, "The fuck is that then?" You know. And I'd be going, no, the quote actually is, you know, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? It's genius. Yeah, the German army's reaction. That's a great image though, isn't it? So folks, there you go. And we've played a good chunk of Kelly's Heroes as well. Right, there's something else coming later on, and then there may be another video as well. I mean, it's a long weekend, so there's going to be a lot more stuff coming regardless of what arrives at the Kilt Mansion. So, in the meantime, this ever, watch out for the trundling, slow-moving bullet magnet tanks in between time. Please keep it Kiltic, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all. Heroes! And we're going to go over the top and into no man's land. It's no man's land. It's Kilt-Man's land.